What is the best conversation you accidentally overheard? Not exactly a conversation, but there's a guy in the dorm below me. He doesn't know this, but I can hear him through the vent in my floor. He has a young sibling, I think. And he sings to her over the phone at night. I fall asleep to it sometimes. Obligatory edit. Golden top comment of the day. Thanks. Guys. I was at a graduation party for my best friend when she graduated high school in 2007. And a boy she was hanging out with at the time was there. He had to use my friend's house phone to call his mom, and the last thing he said to her before hanging up was, "I'm a grown-ass man. Mom. I'll skateboard home." Double quote. We still use that to this day. Was on the bus and a small girl and her father were sitting in front of me. The kid was misbehaving a bit and wouldn't sit still even though her father would tell her to settle down several times. Eventually he lets out an exasperated "Why won't you do what I tell you to?" And the little girl answers, matter of factly, "Mom always tells you to stop washing your balls in the sink but you still do it." Double quote. Needless to say, they got off that bus very quickly as every single person around them was desperately trying not to laugh. Two girls on the bus sitting in front of me start talking about a date that one of them had recently been on. One of them says, "And then he stuck his hand up my skirt," and her friend says, "The one with the stripes on it?" Double quote. Me and a friend were sitting outside McDonald's when we heard this. Was banging her hard and she was screaming like, "Yeah yeah yeah FCK my pussy," and she had like 15 orgasms and her tits were bouncing up and down. Straight after that I went and FK'd her sister who was in the next room and she had like 20 orgasms and I hadn't even CM yet because I can go for like an hour because my DCK is 20 inches so it's hard to get it in sometimes. And then after an hour I came 3 times and she was screaming so loud I thought her mum was going to hear and get jealous because I've FK'd their mum too. Guy was about 12 and all his friends were hanging on every word in amazement like he was a total stud. On college campus, a black guy walks up to a black girl he clearly knows, who is wearing a hat and sunglasses. "Oh girl, where you going looking all incognito?" Apostrophe. Girl 1. Are you? Name. Girl 2. Yeah. Girl 1. Hi. I'm your math tutor. Girl 2. Oh. You're cute. I'd totally date you. But I'm not a lesbian. Girl 1. Thanks. I'd date you. 2. But I'm straight. And I have a boyfriend. My freshman roommate in college would talk on the phone 24/7. To anyone and everyone. His GF. The girl he was cheating on his GF with. And my personal favorite. Some random conversation that I was barely paying attention to when suddenly, "Oh. I forgot to tell you. Your daughter broke up with me yesterday." Double quote. To this day I kick myself for not paying attention from the beginning. I was in a bar one night and while you probably wouldn't call this an accident, because she was screaming. A couple were breaking up. She was yelling at him because he didn't want to buy her another drink. Because lo and behold she was drunk and making an ass out of herself. To finish her tirade she screamed in a high-pitched annoying voice, "Dut." And every time we FK'd I F-king faked it. Double quote. To which he looked at her deadpan and calmly asked, "What makes you think I was F-king you for your benefit?" Double quote. Drop mic. Walk off to applause and laughter. I was walking past a bar one night and a man was standing outside on the phone and I caught, "Look man. I need to tell you about the monkey." Double quote. One gentleman telling another that he could pop a wheelie in this bad boy referring to his wheelchair. I had to introduce myself because that is the type of person I need in my life. Met my boyfriend's family. Then walked into the other room. She's nice and all. But I really liked X's name better. Whatever happened to her? Double quote. I overheard my 7-year-old cousin playing with a hair clip. He found people think I'm a meg but I'm actually a venomous spider. I live in the ocean. Was at work and a couple of guys walked past the window. All I heard was, "Dude. You really should get her a birthday present. I mean, She did give you a really good blowjob. Double quote. Fair enough. Did you hear what happened to X? No. What? She got a yeast infection in her throat from sucking too much dick. In an old electronics class we were playing with spectrum analyzers and discovered that the old cell phones broadcast on open frequencies. If you found the spike on the spectrum and tuned into it, you could hear what they were saying. Happened to tune into a couple girls calling some guy so they could come over and smoke some doobies. By the time they were done, me and my lab partner had the entire class clustered around listening in. Think half of them were hoping to find out where they were going so they could crash the party. My wife and I were at a pretty fancy restaurant where they have their wine list on iPads. We were in a celebratory mood and decided to splurge a bit and get some glasses of wine that were $15 a pop. Shortly after we got our wine, this old guy walks in with two young ladies. The sommelier comes up and asks if he had any questions about the wine list. The old dude says, "I trust you. Just bring out something that's reasonably priced." Double quote. Sommelier looks back a bit baffled and says, "I'm sorry sir, but would you kindly let me know what reasonably priced would be?" Double quote. Old dude puts the wine list down, calmly smiles and says anything under $5. 000 a bottle will be just fine. Thanks. Double quote. Ended up ordering 3 bottles over the course of our dinner. Crazy and entertaining all at once. Close bracket. At Walmart. 2 guys maybe 18 years old looking at a box of Extends pills. They were beyond pumped. I heard one say we're gonna be so huge. Double quote. Somebody was talking on the phone on my way back to the car from the grocery store. No, I didn't f-king kill him. Why would you f-king think that? Needless to say, I probably broke a record for fastest car grocery loading ever. 2 old men talking about the plot to my cousin Vinny. They were trying to remember the name of the movie but they couldn't do it. My wife and I ended up buying their dinner. And we made our own little game based on it called Ambiguous Movie Plot, where you try and stump the other person by giving just enough details about the movie so it pisses them off when they hear the title, but not enough so they can guess it. On a bus in Germany, 2 teenage girls are talking together when a teenage boy comes onto the bus. Throughout the ride he checks out her figure from behind, at which point the girl loudly proclaims, "Dude, stop staring at my ass you creep." To which he replies without missing a beat, "Sorry but your ass is far nicer than your face." Double quote. Edit. Some of you seem to think he was rude and she was right. You got it wrong. She was pretentious and he wasn't going to let public ridicule ruin his day. I have a contribution from the other side, so to speak. There was a private zoo for sale here in New Zealand, in the Bombay Hills just south of Auckland. To be precise. The topic came up cause my partner at the time was working for real estate company NZ, the largest property portal in the country, and they had discussed the listing in the office earlier that day. We were discussing the zoo, its price, its features etc. while we were sitting at a reasonably noisy restaurant. Our waitress snuck up on us to grab some empties just as I asked my partner, "Can you check if the 1.2 million includes the elephants?" I'm sure I've never seemed more interesting and wealthy at any other point in my life. Poor, misled waitress was staring at me when I went forward to pay later. I was in line to order fried chicken and this was the conversation between the woman ordering and the one behind the counter. "What the hell yo fat ass want?" Double quote. "Bitch. Get me a walker and a flyer." Double quote. "You sure yo fat ass needs to be eating all that?" Double quote. "Fuck you bitch. I eat what I want." Double quote. I was in a shoe store and a little girl was playing on the floor with her mom. The mom kept asking her to stand up but the little girl would continue rolling around the floor. Finally she rolled under her mom's legs and looked up and said loudly, "Why don't you have on any panties?" And the mom dragged her out of the store quickly. A tall overweight African American woman at Walmart with her 10-12-year-old son. "No, I will not buy Call of Duty. I will not allow those immoral games in my house." And besides, I just bought you the new Saints Row last week. You don't need a new game yet. I was f***ing dying. Two guys making sandwiches at my local deli were arguing over what the best movie ever was. One man was arguing that Kindergarten Cop was the best movie ever created. And the other was just arguing that it wasn't. The one arguing that it wasn't gave a couple valid arguments that seemed easily deflected by the other man. It eventually devolved into them shouting "It's not a tumor" at each other. Walking past a group of soccer mom looking women pushing strollers. One of them proclaims loudly, "And he was a leather daddy." Double quote. I was showing a network admin how insecure VoIP can be by showing him how to hack his network with a free program. We found a call and started listening in. The VoIP call we ended up cracking into was the VP and other heads of the company talking about a birthday party that they were throwing the network admin. They went on to say what a nice guy that the network admin was and how much smoother things ran under his care. The guy was nearly moved to tears. Just happened yesterday. I was sitting at a restaurant for lunch and at the table right next to me were two bomb defusal guys from the police, shirts that said it. Police jackets. Radio on the table. Quite official. I'm German and work in a rather small town, so such a thing is quite rare. One of them told the other. They seemed to be new colleagues. That one of his former colleagues had a bomb once with 4 buttons in each corner of the room and the bomb itself with some weight trigger. A team consists of 2 bomb specialists, so one of them ran in circles pressing the 4 buttons in the corners and the other was sitting on the weight trigger and trying to defuse the bomb itself. I'm not sure if it was just training or if this was a real bomb. Otherwise, FCK. That sounds more like an action movie than a real life bomb. I was at the bathroom in my university, washing my hands and overheard a dude talking softly in one of the stalls. Stalls are completely closed with a wall in between them. When he stopped speaking, I heard the guy next to him talk in a similar way. This went on for a few more seconds. Until I heard one of them say, "In a minute. I'm in the bathroom right now." Followed by the other dude. "Haha yeah. Me too." First dude. Slightly louder already. "Wait. Are you next to me then?" Second dude. Soft. Possibly. Louder. "Hey Mark." First dude. Loud. "Hey man." They both started hitting the wall to make a noise and started laughing. To which I responded with "You guys are so cute." And then I left so they wouldn't know who I am. When I'm on the toilet, I can hear the girl above my dorm room. Most of the time it's just her singing along with music. She also likes to have music on while having sex apparently. Was chillin' in my first floor apartment in Chicago. Windows down. Hear a girl softly sobbing while a man, ostensibly her boyfriend, shouts at her, "You're a f***ing dentist." Ashley. Okay. A f***ing dentist. Can't quite put my finger on why. But I'll always love that one. I once heard an old man talking to someone about how he had a harem and was going to have sex with the girls. Also, he said that he wouldn't have to worry about getting them pregnant, because he would just make them take the morning after pill. I feel I should mention, the person he was talking to was himself. Been looking forever. Never felt more inclined to chime in than now. I was riding the ferry from Anascourts to Lopez Island with my friend visiting her family, and decided to walk out to the bow for some fresh air. Proceeded to overhear 2 men conversing out there. One was telling the other about his healing powers and how his hands would light up like ET. Apparently he was traveling out to the island to recharge his aura via some crystals. Yay, the San Juans are weird. There was a little girl and her mum on the train. They were watching some video about fairies on the mum's phone. The girl turned to her mum and said matter-of-factly, "Mummy, you are my best friend. And I am your best friend." "Yes?" The mum agreed. "Of course." The little girl then nodded and said, "Okay. I love you, mummy." She promptly fell asleep on her mum's shoulder. I got off the train almost crying because that's f***ing adorable. I'm sitting in my drinking spot at the bar and 2 rednecks are at the counter. I'm talking old. Trucker hat wearing. Flannel skinned men who have seen more time in truck cabs than in the sunlight. They're both sitting with their butt visors and talking heatedly. I usually overlook this sort of thing until one goes, "Main. No. Why gotta slot them flawless gems in your gear or t'other stats ain't gotta optimize right? Why build for your play and then why get online? Where are your skills right now?" Double quote. I guess Diablo 3 has a wide audience. My future wife talking about me to her friends at a party we were at where I met her. She hadn't realized I'd shown up and heard her talking about me through a window. To this day, I've never told her about it. She was very flattering to say the least. My personal favorite was between two sorority girls on the bus. So you know how Becca was talking about getting a llama? Yeah. Well, she actually did it. I went to her parents' place to see it. And that fucker spit on me. Double quote. Two young South Asian girls on the escalator at the tube station in London. One of them crying, "I can't believe he broke up with me. I let him shag my ass last night." Double quote. That's why, babes. You gave him what he wanted and now he's had enough. That wasn't what he wanted. He wanted to piss on my face. I said no f***ing way, Faisal. But you can bum me instead. Double quote. Classy. I was sitting down in a library when I accidentally overheard two gals talking about, well, vampire boners. And if they could get any since they didn't have any blood. Then they proceeded to talk about what would happen if a vampire had AIDS. In a forestry class in college, yeah man, we were just walking through the woods and I almost stepped on this big ass rattlesnake. Oh shit, what happened? I flipped out and my boss runs over with a can of spray paint and unloads on the snake with paint. What, why? His reasoning was, hey, next time we will see it. So I guess there's a bright blue timber rattlesnake somewhere in northern southern PA. I was in the security line one morning at DO when I overheard college girls giggling a lot. I overheard one say to the other, "I think we took too many shrooms." I was impressed and bummed out that they were not on my flight. I went on a trip to the beach recently with my boyfriend. And it was stuffy in the room and there were no fans AC, so we opened a window. This couple came out of their room and sat in the courtyard right by our window arguing. It was annoying, since it kept us up. But eventually as we listened we just started cracking up. The gist of it was, "Huh? I just can't believe you'd say that to me." Him. "I just said that one outfit was more slimming. That doesn't mean I think you look fat in other ones." We pretty much lost it. We couldn't believe that cliche argument actually happens outside of sitcoms. 3 years ago I was walking through the international terminal at the airport towards the gate. A man walking quickly with his luggage and talking on his phone, in a serious tone, said into the phone, "Yeah man. I did it. I quit my job and I'm running away to Thailand." Double quote. Was walking through campus one day. Passed by a girl having a conversation on the phone and overheard, "It doesn't matter that you came in last. You went to the Olympics. Remember kids. Being world class last is better than being nothing." Was flying from Canada back to London a few years back. Could overhear the conversation between two early 20s age women in front of me. They were discussing all the places they were going. London, Paris, Barcelona, etc., all the usual places people visit on Euro trips. Then one of them said to the other, "You know, half these places don't even have toilets. They just have holes in the ground." The other agreed and they discussed how to deal with that. I had to hold back my laughter and could see everyone else in the row doing the same. Overheard today. I told you she was part vampire. Two meth head street guys. Overheard at Burning Man last week. The secret is rhythm. You take 100 dicks in one night. Then you wait 3 weeks. Two guys riding their bikes by. I think both were serious comments. I walked into the break room at an old job just in time to see a massive black guy who was well over 400 pounds yell into a tiny pink flip phone, so I turned around and told her, "Butterhead bitch. Look like a shrimp." My freshman year of college I came to a crosswalk where a guy was on his cell and all I heard before the lights changed was, "And you are sure you're pregnant?" You could almost pinpoint the moment his heart broke in half. I was working at a porno store and this couple came in and were bickering the whole time back and forth between each other. They get to the lube section of the store and the woman angrily asked, "What kind of lube should we get?" And without missing a beat, the guy said, "I don't care. It's your ass." Double quote. Was sitting on a bus in SF with a single guy sitting behind me. Guy gets on the bus and sits with a guy behind me. They start talking about the drugs they've done. Start with weed. "Yeah, I smoke all day bro," etc. They progressively start moving up the drug ladder through all the fun stuff, the painkillers, and straight into the opiates. They get to heroin. Both of them having done it. Original guy goes, "But have you ever shot heroin into your dick?" Other guy goes, "Holy shit, no. Never done that." Double quote. "Wanna try it?" "Yeah, let's do it." Double quote. Both of them proceed to get off the bus together to shoot heroin into their dick holes. So mine isn't so much of a conversation but still one of the greatest lines I've ever heard. Whilst I was at a hospital, a doctor came to see one of the patients on the ward. The patient being a very elderly man who I assume was having some pain due to a catheter. Of course, due to his age, he didn't have the greatest hearing and so the doctor had to speak in a loud voice to get the man to hear him. So he goes through the standard medical procedures. At which point, with regret and embarrassment in his voice, the doctor has to shout the line, "I'm so sorry about this. But is it okay for me to touch your penis now?" I look at the nurses who are trying to not burst out laughing as you can feel the embarrassment of the doctor after he came out behind the exam curtain to all these people sniggering. Work overnight in a college apartment community. Around 3 AM. Saw this girl walking back to her apartment with a guy I've never seen before. I'd worked there 3 years at this point and knew all the residents and some of their friends. She was holding onto his arm. Maybe she just wanted to be close to him. Maybe it was kind of cool outside. Or maybe she was just doing that thing that girls do sometimes where they try to be so close the only way they could be closer is if they were sharing each other's skin. She told him, "I don't normally do this." The funny thing is she did it all the time. Bringing random guys back to her apartment in the middle of the night. I literally lolled as they walked past me. Walking by a bar in a college town. 3 guys are outside. One is exclaiming, "No. Really? It's himmy shimmy peck podgy die." Double quote. As I walk by I say, "You shouldn't say that about his mother." Double quote. You learn one phrase from the Korean exchange student in high school, and you never know when it will come in handy. I overheard a man walk up to his 2 friends at a cafe and immediately start a conversation that he has to break up with his girlfriend in a disappointed tone. His friends immediately questioned it and his reasoning was that she does not like Bob Ross. I am still not sure if he was joking. I lived next door to a couple in a shitty apartment with very thin walls. Once overheard them arguing about a girl getting breast implants. The dynamic of the conversation was really weird. The girl was the one saying she wanted to get them, but blamed her reasoning for wanting them is because she knew he was a boob man and somehow also blamed it on his mom. Not really sure why. Missed that part. He was trying to say that he didn't want her to get implants, but it was obvious he kind of did want her to. One of those I don't want you to. Unless you really want to things. They went on and on for at least an hour and it turned into a conversation that I accidentally overheard to one with a car pressed against the wall and my ear so I could catch every word. Waiting at a pedestrian crossing when a kid is whining to his mother. "But I want one." "You can't have one, dear. They're all sold out." "Why, mum?" "Because of economies of scale." Then I heard no more cause we crossed the street and went separate ways. This one time I was on tour with a band called Witherbox in New York, playing a show in a basement venue. We got parking for the van right across the street, so a few of the band members and I walked around to get some food. After a few blocks, we approached this group of people walking slower than us. As we came nearer, We could hear snippets of them discussing our band and the show they were going to, which we were going to play at. I looked at them and said loudly, "Fuck with their box. That band sucks." They were put off and continued walking. We were walking the same direction though, so we had to keep walking together. And they eventually figured out we were in the band. Laughs were had. While lifeguarding over the summer, I heard a conversation between two girls, roughly 8-12 years old, talking about how one of them was a furry. Full-fledged. Fursuit. Fursona. Going to Furcons. etc. Their conversation goes on for a good few minutes. Then the furry girl suggests the other to try it out and to Google furries. Now, I have nothing against furries or what they do. I just found it a bit crazy that she knew hush tea about furry culture when she looked like she was in 5th-6th grade. I'd also be amazed if she didn't see anything about it being a fetish. My friend used to work at this Petco in an Asian market in high school. He told me about this bizarre exchange between 2 older Asian men and 4 Middle Eastern men. They both sat down at a table outside near where my friend worked. "So do you have it?" The Asian guys put a wooden box on the table. They open it and inside is a spiked metal ball. They then bowed to each other and the Middle Eastern guys walked away with the ball. The way he described it to me, it seemed like some kind of cult exchange. I was about 13 at the time and I was shopping at Costco with my dad, who was general director at a summer camp close by. We were buying all the junk food for camp for the next few weeks. Tuck time, where every camper gets to spend $4 a day on chips, freezies, candy, etc. So we had 2 huge carts holding about 300 pounds of junk food, and on our way to the checkout line we heard a little kid tell his father, "Hey dad, can I go home with that family?" My dad freaking died of laughter. We still talk about it 10 years later. One girl to her friend as they stood behind me in the supermarket queue. And them. When he had finally finished, he took the used condom off and started whirling it around his head like a helicopter. Double quote. You know that white wine is not nearly as good for you as red wine. Cause when they make the red wine white it loses all of its antioxidants. A misinformed hipster I heard at the snack bar in an art gallery. Was at a supermarket and noticed a dad and his small boy, approx 6-7 years old. The kid is sitting in the trolley his dad is pushing. He looks up to his dad randomly with wide eyes and says, "Daddy, we're all going to die." Dad is shocked. "Oh come on son. We're okay." "Why do you say that?" He's struggling. Going through some serious WTF moments. "I saw it dad. We're all going to die." By this stage I've moved away from them. I was petrified for the rest of the day.